Chapter 5, Changing Times. Each spring, big law firms compete to hire graduates from the best law schools in the country. Ruth was an outstanding student. She had graduated at the very top of her class at a top law school. Job offers were bound to flood in, right? Wrong. Not a single one came. On their job postings, law firms stated men only. 10, 20, 30, more than 40 firms rejected her application. Not only was she female, but Ruth also had another strike against her. She was a mother. Bosses didn't think a young mom could put in long hours like men did. Finally, with the help of one of her law professors, Ruth landed a job working as a clerk assistant to a federal judge. Then in 1963, a new path opened for Ruth. Rutgers University in New Jersey hired her to teach law. She became one of the few female law professors in the nation. There was one catch. Her pay was less than that of the male teachers. Men needed more money in order to support their families, the dean explained. Ruth asked if that meant a single man with no children would also get paid less. The answer was no. To Ruth, that didn't make sense, and it was totally unfair. But Ruth stayed quiet, for now. And she stayed quiet a while later when she found out she was pregnant again. Privately, she and Marty were thrilled. But at work, she hid the good news behind loose clothes. She wasn't about to risk another pay cut or losing her job. Ruth and Marty's son, James, was born in 1965. Big sister Jane was already 10. The Ginsburg household was busier than ever. Teaching law suited Ruth. As years passed, she began seeing more and more women filling her law classes. America was changing. During the 1960s and 1970s, the women's movement swept the nation. Women joined the workforce in record numbers. Many didn't want to stay at home with children full time. They now wanted motherhood and a career. Women started to demand entry into men-only jobs and schools. At rallies and marches, they called for the right to be treated as equal citizens. Ruth's generation had accepted the way things were, but now Ruth got ready to fight too, only not in marches or at sit-ins. She was ready to fight in the courtroom. Many laws across the country treated women unfairly. Ruth understood that even if society was changing, old-fashioned laws still held women back. In many states, a woman couldn't get a credit card in her own name, nor could she go to a bank and apply for a loan on her own. She needed her husband's permission. Some state laws said it was a husband's right to choose where the family lived. Women were shut out of countless jobs everywhere, and when they did get jobs, they were often paid less or fired for being pregnant. Ruth knew firsthand how it felt to be treated unfairly. Now, as a lawyer, she had the power and skills to fight for equal rights in court. First, she started at her own school. Ruth helped female professors at Rutgers file a lawsuit for equal pay. They won. Next, she signed on as a volunteer lawyer at the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU is a group that fights for citizens' basic rights. In addition to full-time teaching, Ruth now started to defend clients and go to court. She did it all for free. What Ruth wanted was to do something, to make a difference in society. Meanwhile, in the busy Ginsburg home, Ruth and Marty continued living on equal terms. Growing up, I didn't know that it was unusual for both parents to have careers, James said later. People would always ask me what my dad did, and I always wondered why people didn't ask me about my mom. As to whether Ruth was a devoted mother, James said, grinning, "Mom was always there when I wanted her to be, and even when I didn't."